This is fight 270. I'm fighting in Hua Hin against Nongam. We didn't know anything about her going into this fight, which was interesting. So we were basically just trying to like look at her and figure out what kind of fighter she was at weigh-in and that kind of stuff. She had a lot of confidence. Like when she showed up for a weigh-in in the morning, just the way she carried herself, just her kind of like composure, and just you can see in the way that people carry themselves with their confidence how much experience they have and things like that. She looked very, very experienced. She's not taller than me really, but the fight was at 48 kilos. It's for a Western region title, and the title's at 48 kilos. So the promoter had told me that the fight was at 48 kilos, and I kind of in my head, I'm like, I know promoters. I know that when they say 48, they kind of mean 50. So I was anticipating that she would be maybe around like 50 kilos. When she stepped on the scale, she was 52, and there was no discussion, no like inkling at all that there was going to be any kind of cutting of any of that weight. I weighed in at 46 because that's what I weigh. I don't cut weight. I don't do anything. I just step on the scale, and what I weigh is what I weigh, and I usually weigh like 45, 46. So there's a 6 kilo difference between me and my opponent in this fight. It was an interesting card. We had to go in early in the morning, which we normally don't do. So we were normally we drive to wherever I'm fighting the day of the fight and then just fight that night. If it's Hua Hin, if it's Chiang Mai, we'll go the day before. But we had to go early this time because due to COVID, in order to get permission to have this fight card, the promoter said that he had to have this like hospital come and test all of us with ATK tests for COVID in the morning at weigh-in. So normally I would skip weigh-in because I don't weigh the weight that the fight is going to be, and usually my opponents don't either. But we had to go early and do this ATK test in the morning. So we had this whole experience of the like seeing people in the morning and like seeing my opponent weigh in the morning and all these things that we don't normally do. She's getting in now. This referee is a Thai fight referee. I've seen him on TV a bunch of times. Usually when you're not the first fight, you can watch. They'll have a few referees that work as like judges and referees and stuff, and you can see how they do things. And so you can be like, oh, they break the clinch fast or they don't. I was a little bit nervous. Kevin took a photo. You can see him in the corner over here. He's taking a photo of me. He said my face totally changed when my opponent got in the ring. The reason is that this guy who's in the yellow shirt, who's doing her Mankan, which means that he's like doing the honorific part of her fight, he's the guy who sanctions the Western region title that we're fighting for. So the guy who sanctions the belt is doing her Mankan, is like in her corner supporting her. It doesn't mean he's her trainer. It doesn't mean that he necessarily works with her on any regular basis, but he's in her corner supporting her. So I had this look on my face when I was like, the guy sanctioning the belt is in my opponent's corner, but I've got a Hulk, I've got Karahat. So Karahat's in my corner. She's got the guy sanctioning the belt. Whatever. I forget sometimes that when I roll up with legends or something, it might be a little bit intimidating. I'm like, it's Karahat. He's my hero. I know these things. So Kevin put in this top right corner, this is footage from the live stream that my opponent did. So we didn't live stream the fight. We put this GoPro up in the corner that you're watching now. And up in that right-hand corner is my opponent's corner live streaming. So you can see sometimes like when something is not at a right angle or you can't quite catch it because the ref's in the way or something, you can check that top right box and see it from a different angle. He timed it really well. I'm really impressed with how well Kevin timed these together. I didn't know this at the time I was fighting Nongam. Again, when I found out her name and who I was fighting, I'm like, I'll fight anybody, I don't care. I couldn't find anything on her with the name that she was fighting under, so I had no idea what kind of fighter she was. I looked up the gym that she was fighting out of. It's a fitness gym, it's not like a Muay Thai gym. And I was able to find like a year ago a little 20-second clip of her hitting pads. She had just gotten her vaccine and this was like back to training, so it was showing that she's like fit again. So I knew she was right-handed, but that's about all I knew about her. These are Kevin's photos. He's putting them in the moment that he took them. So I didn't know anything about her, but I found out after the fight that she's a world champion at like IFMA at amateur level, has a lot of experience, and all the Thai women who I know who are like the core of female Muay Thai in Thailand knew her. they were all watching her live stream being like, oh, you're fighting Sylvie. So that was interesting. Found that out later though. Her Ram Muay was so beautiful. Mine is a little bit shorter than hers, so I was actually able to stop and watch hers because I'd finished mine. If you just look at her balance and kind of like the smooth transitions between everything she's doing. I haven't done my Ram Muay in months because I'm not fighting. COVID has made it very, very hard to fight. She probably hasn't done her Ram Muay in a really long time either, but look at how gorgeous it is. You can tell a lot about someone's, not necessarily fight experience, but about their experience in Muay Thai by looking at their Ram Muay. And hers is just gorgeous. She gives nice face as well, like she's smiling through. We made eye contact and smiled throughout the fight a couple of times, which was really nice. Here's that guy sanctioning the belt in the yellow down at the corner of the ring, taking photos of her, preparing for like having the fight photos to share everything. There are two announcers. There's a guy down to the right of your screen in a blue shirt. He's doing the Thai announcements. And then there's a guy way over off screen who's also the DJ who's doing the English. And this fight card was so strange. Like, in the morning, they asked, do you want 3 rounds or 5 rounds? And I'm like, I only fight 5 rounds. I don't want 3 rounds. And so they were like, okay, we'll do it that way. Then we get to the fight that night, and they moved my fight a bunch of times. Like, I was supposed to be 4th, and I ended up being 9th or something. But first they were like, all the fights tonight are going to be 5 rounds. And then 15 minutes later, they're like, all the fights tonight are going to be 3 rounds. I got up immediately. We sent this photo to her at her gym. So she has a very nice, big, beautiful print of this photo that Kevin took. I went straight over to the announcer and I was like, my fight is for a title. It has to be 5 rounds. If it's not 5 rounds, I really don't want this fight. And so he had to like talk to the promoter, and they solved it pretty quickly. They were like, every fight's going to be 3 rounds except Sylvie's fight is going to be 5 rounds. Like, a little bit kind of like, I don't know, making a stink about it, but I don't want 3 rounds. So they ended up changing it so that all the title fights that night were 5 rounds. And then all the like filler fights were 3 rounds. So we did get our 5-round fight. She's so sweet. Look at her like brightness. This referee had to keep fixing these neutral corner pads. They kept like popping off. I really like fights like this. Like this is the Hua Hin Muay Thai ring. Like this is a gym, and then they just have fights. So you're kind of like spread out within the gym. It's just a field. The referee was very happy that I speak Thai, but he didn't have to like pantomime things to me. Here we go. So I haven't fought in quite a bit. I've been working on a bunch of things, so I wasn't sure how much that was going to come out, and I had no idea what style my opponent was. I actually thought she was a boxer. The way she carried herself, she felt kind of like a boxer. She's not. My teep is coming out, which is really nice. I've been working on my teep a lot when I'm sparring with Yod Kupan, just trying to get like more control over different distances instead of like leaping across distance all the time. She's staying in nice, which is nice. It's early in the fight, so she's not backpedaling so much. Oh, she took a swing at me. That would have been really good, but I teeped her leg and basically snuffed the whole thing. She had heavy legs, like she had very strong kicks. I'm kind of, I don't really bounce that front leg so much, but I'm doing it a lot in this fight, and it was interrupting her ability to kind of snipe. She's a sniper. She doesn't like put things together so much. She likes to nail you with like a really nice, clean shot to make everyone go, ooh. She reminds me a little bit of Tananchinook, who I fought 8 times maybe. Tananchinook's really good, world champion. She reminds me of her in her poise and the way that she kind of like keeps her roop so clean all the time. Oh, that one got a little like shifty as I was pulling her off the ropes, but I didn't capitalize on it. So my bounce is interrupting her rhythm, and I'm able to kind of like hit little tags, but what I'm hitting her with is not as like ooh as what she does, because she's so still most of the time, and then she just fires something out. She switched stance there for a second. She became southpaw for a minute. And here I'm able to finally get a like pull off the ropes and do something dynamic. We're smiling at each other there. Made a little bit of eye contact of the like, yeah, you know, first round doesn't matter that much. Poor Karahat. He's the only one working in my corner. So usually you're supposed to put up this like tin that you can see in her corner. This is to catch all the water as you're like pouring water on people's limbs and wiping them down and things like this. It's a lot of work for one person to do. So Karahat just skipped it. He didn't put the chair up, he didn't do anything. It's a very high ring. So he basically just climbed up with the water bucket and is giving me water. And I'm just standing, like I don't need to sit. I was actually okay with this. She nailed me with some leg kicks. And I was like, maybe sitting isn't the best thing to do at this moment. My left leg was kind of like throbbing on my thigh a little bit just from round one. That means you're going to be feeling it later in the fight for sure. Karahat is telling me to like jab with my teeps a little bit more, to kind of like dern a little bit. I'm basically holding my ground and she's holding her ground, and she's a little bit better at it. So he's like, you need to be advancing a little bit. So keep teeping the way you're teeping, but like add a little bit of a jab to go with it. This is common. You'll see what she's doing. You like kneel against the ropes to like listen to your corner man who's giving you advice. Usually there's not much talking between rounds 1 and 2. They were talking to her quite a bit. I don't really know what they were saying. Here we go. So I'm trying to go left a little bit more, maybe because she nailed that leg so good. I'm trying to like cut off that leg kick from an angle a little bit. I'm doing what Karahat said. I'm not really jabbing, but I am advancing a little bit more than I was before. Still using that teep. The teep is really good and then I'm interrupting things, but it doesn't score. I'm not scoring when I hit her with a teep. I'm just being super annoying. She was able to clip me, even though I like off-balanced her a bit with that teep. She was able to clip me on the butt. Oh, that one hurt. That could have been dynamic, but I kind of like missed my shot as she bounced off the rope. Tananchinook is also really good at this that she just did. When you catch her leg, she just nails you with a punch. Her balance is really good. Karahat's telling me to jab and hook, to kind of like pivot off to the left a little bit. I don't think I heard him. So I'm kind of following her around the ring, more or less getting her into the corners and the ropes, but I'm not corralling her. Like I'm not cutting off the ring the way that I really should be. But see how I kind of I drifted left a little bit there, and it kind of like stuck her into the rope. She's got a really nice cross block when I was trying to go after her back leg. So in this round, I actually caught her leg quite a few times, but she's really good at balancing and punching on it. So that works against me because the kick scores. Like that kick landed when you catch it. And so she scored and I'm not scoring or showing any kind of dominance or like punishment or anything. I'm failing to do those things. So, oh, that one hurt. That one hurt too. You can actually see my left leg is already starting to turn a little bit purple. So people have come to help Karahat. So now I have in the black down at the corner of the ring, that's crew F from Sitjiao. He came over, he had trained me in the morning. We shot with him for the Muay Thai Library after weigh-in. So we weighed in, went over and trained with him for an hour. And he was very nervous because he knew that I was fighting that night and he was very nervous I was gonna get tired. Karahat kept being like, she's Muay Cow, don't worry about it. She's Muay Cow, don't worry about it. So now I have my chair and my ice. My leg is hurting more because I got hit more in that round. So it might actually have been okay to keep standing on that one. I like this referee. He had a very nice energy, and I think that he really liked that I made eye contact with him when he would come over to like show me something. I think a lot of times with Westerners, if we don't speak Thai or we don't necessarily know what's going on, I definitely had this when I first moved to Thailand, and it's like, you're not entirely sure what's going on because there's so much like overstimulation happening. You don't really like connect. So when I look at the ref and I smile and I'm like, yeah, round 2, round 3, like I can see this, like, they're like, oh, this one knows what's going on. That's really good. I like that she has all these grommets in her corner. Look at all these little kids that are over on the side of her corner. This poor guy in the blue shirt, he kept being like, do you want me to like stretch your legs and your arms? Like, I don't. I really don't. And he kept offering it to me, and I'm like, no, no, no. It's very unusual to like not do the stretchy things in the corner. All right, so round 3 is when it starts mattering. So whether I turn and whether her like leg kicks and kind of punishing strikes start capitalizing, now we're actually fighting over who's taking the lead in the fight rather than like who's just on their rhythm in rounds 1 and 2. She's moving more. See how she's kind of like repositioning herself all the time, which is making me have to follow her a bit. I tried to knock her over there. She didn't go. Her balance is really good. You can hear a lot more shouting. That's mostly from her corner. So that one hit my arm. That actually does score. It's not a big score. If she hit my body or my head, it's better, but it's better than me not doing anything. I was really proud of that one. I like blocked her punch with my forearm, which was something that I've kind of been working on with a longer guard. I have a very, very short guard. I've been making it longer. So here she's wall of Chinaing me, which has historically been a difficulty with me. I'm able to kind of come over it and around it because of all the work I've been doing with Yod Pan, I think. Like, I've always known that there are outs to it, but I'm not practiced. So I let go of her leg after catching it and actually hit her with a hook, which is kind of what Karahat's been asking me for. He yelled at me between rounds 2 and 3, because in round 2 I caught her leg so much, he's like, stop catching on that side, block on that side. Oh, landed it right there. See how she like fired back and pivoted out? That was really nice. I got her on the bounce here. She's trying to just lock me up so that the ref will come split us the way he just did. This is really good for her because my scores are getting a little bit swallowed in the exchange. I need to have clear shots, or I need to have like big dominance. Being able to hook, I'm like grabbing her, I'm catching her kick automatically. I don't mean to, but then I'm hooking off of it rather than trying to like plow her or knock her down or something. So it's a little better from what Karahat was telling me to do. I was slightly frustrated from that round. I could tell that like the dynamics were starting to shift a little bit, which is natural because rounds 1 and 2 don't matter that much, so nobody's putting their all out in rounds 1 and 2. Round 3 is when you really start to like, okay, this is where I want to be in this race. This is where I want to position myself. And she had a little bit more, what would you say it? Impact. Like what she was doing was visually good. I had more dynamic moments, like my explosions, my hits were higher in terms of like getting her in the ropes and like hitting her with things. But even though I'm doing that, her ability to kind of like stuff me and keep me at a distance or off of her is working well for her. So the ref is like, this is 4. Okay. It's good that it's 4 because we made such a big deal about it being 5 rounds. So there's always this weird like paranoia that they'll just stop the fight at 3 rounds. So many fights are 3 rounds now. It's incredible how much it's going in that direction. So Karahat's yelling at me again. He's like, stop catching that kick. He's like, when she's putting her wall of China on you, take a little step back and then hit her. So basically take the pressure off and then attack. Karahat's very melty. This is very much like a Karahat tactic. He's actually very hard to understand anyway when he's yelling because he doesn't yell super loud. Plus he has his face mask on, so I'm like, okay. But I think I know what he's saying because I know what he generally says. So I'm going left harder. This is something Kevin told me to do. He's like, go left and kind of cut her off more. She's now throwing harder. See these kicks that she's throwing? These score. She is like bam, 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 just racking up points at the beginning of round 4, which is a big scoring round. So she is like, I am taking this fucking lead. I knocked her down and I threw my knee over her head. It's a warning shot. The referee gave me a thumbs up because he saw that I wasn't actually going to hit her. He knew I wasn't fouling, but I was like doing a dominance thing, and he was like, I like that. So now she's got me in the ropes, which is not how this has been going. I've had her in the ropes. So we're having a little bit of a spat. There's a smile back and forth between us. Her little step back and lead kick, like she fires her lead kick as like a open side after a little step back, is really nice. Again, she's got me in the ropes. I'm trying to struggle for position, but my rope is getting bent a little bit. I need to like up and pop off of the ropes. This is getting a little bit intense now because round 4 really matters. Like, this is gonna determine a lot. That was good. You don't score necessarily for knocking someone down like that, but you get like, you're telling a story. Like, you get narrative points if you keep capitalizing on it. So what Karahat had told me right there, I should have stepped back and then hit her. Back. There we go. So I'm not doing quite what he told me to do, but I am taking dynamic moments. Her corner's getting louder, which means that what I'm doing is actually working. She puts her hips in really nice. Look at this. See how she kind of like frames herself around so that she's not getting pulled? And then she puts her hips in so it's hard for me to knee, but I'm dragging her. Oh, I just landed like 3 really nice knees right there. I've kind of like popped myself up. End of the round. I finished that round on top. This is really good for me. This is not a like, you're in the lead, you win forever, like you don't have to do anything. But it is a good way to end round 4 so that when I go into round 5, I don't have to do a whole lot. I have to hold that lead and kind of like start to pull back, because I've been durning this whole time. So I don't want to start running backwards. I don't have that kind of lead, but I want to kind of like start here and then start to go like this and get her to follow me. If she follows me, she's succeeding, and this is good for me. Referee 5. So crew F, who had trained with me in the morning and was like so worried about making me tired, he's yelling at me now. He's like, darn. He's like, go in, grab her, clinch. I was like, okay, now is the time. Usually people are yelling at me. They're like, don't be walking in straight and clinching all the time, because I do it from round 1 to round 5. But like, now is the time to do that. And he's like, go do that thing that you say you do. See, she's getting her legs stretched out. Fix your shorts. This is like what you do. I'm getting my arms done, but I'm like, I don't really want my legs. They're like super like pulling themselves together. The muscles are getting really sore from the leg kicks in rounds 1 and 2. So Kevin's saying go right away, she's tired. Like, basically my corner had been telling me that too. They're like, she's tired, go. When crew F was like, go grab her, he was seeing that she's like flattening out a little bit. So if you let her get on her bike and just go backwards and look like she has more energy than she has, I can lose this fight. So I have to like go get her. She's starting round 5 the way she started round 4, which is exactly in the same spot, firing like 4 kicks in a row. Her backup is really smooth. She is landing on me. This is kind of like super shaky from how I ended round 4. Like, I don't have this in the bag. Karahat's happy. He's like, that was a good exchange because the way we locked up at the end, I had the dominant position. I tried to land a hook and she landed a kick under it, so that's for her. But she's the one running backwards, which means when I finally catch her, if I can punish her, that makes her running backwards not look good. If she can run backwards and I catch her and I can't do anything, it makes her running backwards look really good. There we go. The referee's like pulling me back. Body shot from me, and a right kick landed in her belly because she had switched stance for a second. So now we're getting a bit in a tangle, but I'm actually scoring quite well. I got 2 nice knees into her ribs there. So she's been going backwards this whole time. I had wanted to like do something dynamic and then start to pull back. She's gonna have to keep going back this whole time, but I have to keep punishing her when I catch her. her knees are landing basically like on my hips and my thighs. Mine are landing into her ribs, so mine are scoring better. And a little bit of a throwdown. It makes her look more tired, like it's basically exaggerating what's real about what's happening with her. Whereas if she were escaping and having me plow after her, that would be exaggerating what's true for me. So you're basically like emphasizing each other's weaknesses in the 5th round. I'm catching her pretty good, actually. That scored. Kevin's yelling for me to just keep going. There's not a point here where I can like start to pull back. Like I really have set up this round in the way that she's fought it. I need to keep coming to her the entire time. I'm trying to throw her down again. She's basically just trying to stop me now. She's like putting her leg up, trying to like get the ref to break us. Carhat's happy over here. That's it. I was pretty confident that I won this fight. She fought really, really well, and the 5th round went like this for me, but I felt like the way that she started it, it kind of like got a little shaky there. So I wasn't confident like from the get-go of it, but I was confident that I could keep going. That was quick. So. She's very sweet. I went and talked to her after this and like got her information and stuff. But this is me coming back to my corner after winning. I've got this like super upright root right there. So it was a little bit awkward. This was for a title, so they have to come put the belt on you, and I think that like they didn't have it in order or something. So I'm basically in the ring like waiting for this to happen. Carhat's coming in to get me. There's the referee. He's like, you have to go get the belt. So they're getting it off the table and bringing it in, but the guy who sanctions this thing, who has to put it on me, he was in her corner. So maybe he was like helping her get out first, and then he's coming in to do this part. Kevin took some really beautiful photos of a little boy from her gym. I love this photo. Look at the referee's face. This is me having this belt put on, and this is the king up here in the corner. Kevin sent some really nice, beautiful photos to their gym of this very young fighter they had who won a belt that day. These belts can be tricky. You have to like hook them to themselves to fit them on, and they tend to be like kind of elastic so you can fit them on people, but sometimes they're fitted big. I think I was lucky that like the kids who had fought before were like 30 kilos, so it was easy to fit it on. So I'm asking if the guy can look at Kevin's camera so that we can get this photo. So it was a late night. Like I was supposed to be like the 4th fight. We thought it was going to be like in, out, bam, but I ended up being like the 9th or 11th or something like that. Kevin totally called it. He's like, they're going to put you at the end. So that's fight 270 against Nongam and the Western Regional Champion belt.
I fought a really tough fight against Nongam, who is amateur champion at 105 pounds, but this fight was supposed to be at 48 and she came in at 52 and I walked around at 46, so there was like a 6-kilo difference between us. But I fought for like the Western Regional belt, which is cool, but I'm just happy to be back in the ring. I'm really excited to be fighting again. I opened up my shin on some blocks and I feel like my fighting has changed. Given what kind of a tough opponent she was, the things I was able to do in this fight are exciting because I haven't been able to do those in other fights before, so that does mean that some of the work that I've been putting in with Nongam and my sparring and the stuff that I've been working on in the gym and really focusing on is starting to kind of come out in more of a shape. I had to really argue and fight for this fight to be 5 rounds. This might be the hill I die on. All fights are like 3 rounds, and I had to really, really fight. Even though it was for a belt, I had to really fight for it to be 5 rounds. So I got that. I'm happy. I won on points. Thank you to everyone who has been supporting me and cheering me. I had a lot of people here taking photos with me afterwards, which is really awesome. I really like that people watch and follow and support. That makes me feel really good. Thank you to my sponsors, Low Blow and Onyx MMA in Singapore. And of course, thank you to PCN who came and cornered for me, and Kevin for doing all the behind the scenes work. There's a lot of work that doesn't get a lot of recognition. So thank you, Kevin, Carhat, everyone who trains me, and I'll talk to you guys.